Hey, hey, hey! สวัสดีครับ What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Hello to all of you watching us live all the way from all around the world and welcome to the Free Fire World Series 2022 Bangkok. My name is Bam Pitipat, your host for today's extremely exciting finals. ต้อนรับทุกคนเลยนะครับที่กำลังรับชมสดๆไม่ใช่แค่ที่ไทยแต่ทั่วทุกมุมโลกเลยครับกับ Free Fire World Series 2022 Bangkok ครับแบมปฏิพัฒน์นะรับหน้าที่พิธีกรตื่นเต้นมากๆแล้วตอนนี้เพราะว่าBattle สุดยิ่งใหญ่กำลังจะเกิดขึ้นครับ Where are you joining and supporting us from? Be ready for the world action all the way from Central World Live right here in Bangkok, Thailand ตื่นเต้นสุดๆเลยนะฮะความเดือดกำลังจะเกิดขึ้นอีกไม่กี่วินาทีครับ There were intense plays yesterday with 4 teams qualifying themselves to our finals today. Joining them are 8 other teams that have been waiting in the finals, vying for desired trophy and the title of Free Fire World Champion and the prize pool of $2 million. Yes, you heard it right, $2 million. ตื่นเต้นมากๆครับเพราะว่าได้แข่งขันไปเป็นที่เรียบร้อยเมื่อวานนี้และเราก็ได้มากับ12ทีมที่จะมาแข่งขันกันในรอบชนะเลิศถ้วยรางวัลก็รออยู่สุดยิ่งใหญ่แบมแอบเห็นแล้วสวยมากและเงินรางวัลรวมถึง2 ล้านเหรียญสหรัฐเลยครับ I bet you can feel the excitement, the thrill we got by just standing here on this very stageพลังตอนนี้บอกเลยนี่คือครั้งแรกนะที่จัด World Series ในประเทศไทยครับแล้วก็เป็นครั้งแรกของแบมที่ได้เป็นพิธีกรด้วยดีใจมากๆพลังมหาศาลแบมตื่นเต้นและเชื่อว่าผู้เข้าแข่งขันทุกคนตื่นเต้นยิ่งกว่าครับ So ladies and gentlemen who will be playing aggressively who will be making an impressive outplay and who will get the most booyahs and who will be the MVP of the seriesเรามาดูกันนะว่าใครจะเล่นได้แบบเดือดที่สุดใครจะมีจังหวะแบบสวยๆใครจะได้บูย่ามากที่สุดและใครครับจะได้เป็น MVP ของการแข่งขันค่ำคืนนี้ได้รู้กันอย่างแน่นอนครับ So ladies and gentlemen the wait is over Let me pass it to the casters to kick off the first match today Let's go
Thank you very much, Bam. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, officially now, my name is AJ. I am the Mustachio down here with the one and only Husky to open up the show for all of you guys officially this time as we await Bermuda to kick off match number 1. Husky, you know my usual question, man. What do you expect out of this first game?
I expect even more aggressions from yesterday. I know during the play-ins, first map, everyone plays passive, but you only have 9 teams on the map. There's more room for you to wriggle around. There's more crevices to hide in. With 12 full teams, that is not going to be a possibility. We have teams that share the same drop zone on Bermuda, so it's going to be a bloodbath.
Absolutely, man. I am looking forward to some of these hot drops because we will be able to see all of these world-class teams pushed to the very edge and tested very early on. You have got no room for error whatsoever, but they're in a game of Battle Royale where the gods of RNG might just be able to mess up your game with the circle dragging you left, right, center, and the teams being so unpredictable, anything can happen out there. But the teams who are able to respond well to those unexpected situations and make the right shot calls are going to be the champions of the day.
And we have seen some teams from yesterday that knew how to read the circle, and one of that was actually Evo's Phoenix. That's how they got their second and third booyah. But aside from Evo's Phoenix, we're also going to look at the other teams that are in the grand final. Starting off with the first seed from Brazil is K, the Spartan Bulls.
The Assassins, Vasto Mundo, representing the European region as the first seeded team.
The first seed of Indonesia, we have SES Alphite, known as the Predator.
The one and only, the Phoenixes Ignis Esports, representing the Latin American region as their first seeded squad.
The Miracle Workers, AV Radicals, representing MCPS as the #1 seed.
The Macho Alpha, representing the Middle East and North African region.
The Rising Stars of Thailand, Nigma Galaxy, first seed of Thailand.
The Mighty Eagles, HQ Esports, representing Vietnam.
The Master Wizards qualifying from the play-ins in first place yesterday, Magic Squad, second seed from Brazil.
And the Undying Comeback Kings, EVOS Phoenix, representing Thailand as their second seeded team.
Second seed of Latam, Naguara Esports, the Los Chamos.
And the veteran bees RRQ Kazu representing Indonesia as their second seeded team. And all of these teams are going to be going all out. Why, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Because $2 million on the line, Husky.
And the champion walks away with pride, glory, triumph, a trophy, and $500,000, AJ. That is life-changing cash right there.
A fat pocket, a very fat bank. And I mean, the bankers are going to be ecstatic when these players walk into their bank and say, okay, I would like to deposit this amount into my bank account, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, going down the standings, every team will get a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
It just matters to how much of a piece of the pie that they get. But to get to that point, we're going to look at the point system.
Each and every single elimination gets you 1 point. This is how you sandbag yourself if you cannot get enough placement points. Talking about placement points, if you hit that booyah, you get yourself 12. Second place gets you 9 points. One rank below that, each and every single consecutive rank below that, you dock away 1 single point. But the 11th and 12th spot gets no placement points at all.
So take note of this because it is very important to hit the golden ratio of elimination and placement points. But what if we run into a deadlock? Do not worry, survivors. We have the tiebreaker rules for you guys out there. First of all, we will look at the number of booyahs between the two teams that are tied together. If that number is tied, we will look at the total eliminations that those two teams have. But if that is tied as well, we will finally look at their placement in game number 8. And I sure hope we don't get to that point because it's going to be a big heartbreaker.
I mean, yesterday was close, but we did not need any tiebreaker rules. Hopefully today's not going to be the day where we invoke that because, you know, the teams up there, it's already nerve-wracking to sit down on the stage. It's already nerve-wracking to take on some of the best in the world. To be put into a tiebreaker would just absolutely crush them. But someone's going to come out there a winner, so maybe that's something that we can look forward to. But the map schedule for the day, we start things off at Bermuda, then hop on into the dry desert of Kalahari. Third map is going to be a burger tree map. We didn't get no water circle yesterday. Maybe today is the day we will be able to see a couple of those players swim, right? Yes, we did have a body of water in there, but I want to see a full-on water circle. But of course, Alpine 4th map, and then we hit the reset to do it all over again.
Yep, 8 rounds, a couple of hours left on this set, and we will have a new world champion, or maybe a returning world champion. Who's to say that's not possible? We have a team eyeing for that, but I'm just very, very excited to see how it's going to play out because the teams were absolutely loud. You heard that on stage yesterday, but even behind the scenes, while they were in their prep room, they were extremely loud. The noise, the chance that they have going into this finals is amazing. The energy is there. You feel the electricity.
You feel the energy, you feel the electricity, but it is for 2 reasons, right? Number 1, to pump yourselves up. They were using all of those shots to pump themselves up. Number 2 is to unnerve their opponents. You know, you make a lot of noise, you shake them up a little bit, you show them exactly who's super confident, you get the job done out there on the battlefield, and you crush their confidence once and for all. And that is usually the tactic played here by a lot of the squads out there. I'm looking forward to seeing exactly how hard Naguara can hit once again, because yesterday they were the team that surprised me the most.
Yeah, and we do have a taunt video coming up, and we want to see what the players have to say. Enjoy.
Enigma, nunca ouvi falar nesse time antes. Esse ano a FFWS não será fácil para vocês, estreantes. Os times que foram campeões da última vez tiveram apenas sorte. Eles não são tudo isso.
เวอร์ทีลี่เนี่ยอย่าให้มันน่าเบื่อแล้วกัน อยากได้อะไรที่มันท้าทาย ขอตึงๆได้ปะจำชื่อนิกมากาแล็กซี่ไว้ให้ดี พวกผมนี่แหละแชมป์ในปีนี้
Venimos aquí para vengarnos. Traten de no encontrarnos al principio de la partida porque lo van a pagar muy caro.
Fake S1, cry S1. Lu cuma punya satu kesempatan buat lawan gue, tapi gue tandain lo semua, hati-hati.
Ay, caramba! I absolutely love the warning by Enigma Galaxy, man. I mean, they are confident, to say the least.
Yes, they are super confident, and it's warranted. When they play in the local league, out of 12 rounds, they got 7 booyah. They won the finals by an advantage of 88 points. And guess who's in second place? Evo's Phoenix.
The
These guys got
comeback.
the bung and they deserve it.
Yeah, the Undying Comeback Kings could find no comeback at that point. But question is, were they playing possum? You know, this is a question that I've asked many a times in the past competitions. But this time around, I don't think there's any room to kind of dodge away, right? Only 8 of those rounds there. But let's take a look at some of the stats here for Cade. 4,979 on the average damage. But look at the average eliminations this squad gets, though.
Yeah, this squad is absolutely incredible. High high elimination count, high top 3 finishes.
Yes.
And this was the team that also got 4th place at FFWS Sentosa, right? So
Yep.
this is kind of the returning performance for them. There's a lot to be desired. And even one of their star players, Nando9, has an average of 3.0 elimination on its own. It's not the highest, but it's up there on the echelon.
That is no doubt whatsoever. With a survival time of 16 minutes and 22 seconds, you're pretty much seeing this team almost always getting into that final circle.
Absolutely.
Which is going to be a problem for a lot of the other teams who are not as consistent. They have to not only get those eliminations, but also survive. Kate knows how to do both of it.
Yeah, and they had definitely found the secret recipe to put themselves out on top, right? Even when they won the local league, they won it by a landslide. But let's take a look at another team that deserves our attention, that the whole world will also be paying attention to, Ignis Esports. And I love this team because Ignis Esports is all about aggression. It's all about rushing into your face and getting the job done in a blink of an eye.
Once again, the second World Series appearance for them here at the 2022 Bangkok Free Fire World Series. 5th place at the Sentosa Plains. That was a massive heartbreak for Ignis Esports, but they are here to prove themselves, and they did set out a really good warning there. Make sure you're not one of those teams that meets us really early in these matches, because you surely will regret. They want to get to that final circle, and through their survival time, you see that this team almost always gets that done.
And a big part of the 7.5 average elimination came from one player and one player alone, Carlos. 20 eliminations in the local finals and 140 total eliminations during the regular season. That is crazy numbers.
Yeah, 24% accuracy, nothing that they want to shy away from. That's really good on average for your whole squad. Let's take a look at a couple of player stats as well before we take a head-to-head here. Nando9, one of the craziest MVPs that you guys can look forward to. Awaken Hayato, that's the favorite character that he uses most out there on the battlefield, and very recently everyone's kind of realized how greatly useful those glue walls are. Mr. Wagger provides them when you are in most need.
Yeah, Mr. Wagger came into the game with style and now is one of the most beloved pets of the entire Free Fire community. And on the competitive stage, you can see exactly why. We have so many glue wall masters that run Mr. Wagger.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, we want to look at Nando9's stats here. I mean, this is, I believe, one of the first times I'm actually seeing that the blue region kind of fill it up all the way towards the edge, man. 3.0 elimination average for Nando9. This guy's a monster out there on the battlefield. And look at the average damage. It's nothing too fancy. Usually you see much lower number of average eliminations, which much higher damage. That just shows Nando9 is very, very succinct in what he does out there.
Yeah, and just as a footnote, he has an average knockdown rate of 4.13. That is a lot. But you also want to look at Carlos from Ignis Esports. Almost the same lineup with the Awakened Hayato and Mr. Wagger. But Carlos himself, he might not sport as high as a number compared to Nando, but this guy is one of the top eliminators of their local league, and now leading the rest of Ignis Esports. I think they will stand a great chance against K.
And we most definitely do believe that Ignis Esports is going to be one of those trailblazers out there on the battlefield. Let's take a look at some of Carlos's stats and see exactly how that kind of stacks up against Nando9. 2.5 average eliminations, damage 1,463 on average. He's got about half of his shots getting that headshot for him, so that's not too shabby at all.
Yeah, but he also has a pretty decent assist rate, right? This guy is the grenadier of his team. He is the golden arm of Ignis Esports, so he might not get a lot of headshot percentage, he might not get a lot of elimination on his own, but his utility usage has really benefited the team, and this is why Ignis Esports was such a force to be reckoned with.
But it is quite surprising with him running the grenade launches all the time. You would expect more damage from him, but let's see exactly how that fares for them a little bit later on. We want to take this head-to-head as well between Nigma Galaxy's Dew as well as SES Ray. Now, we've spoken a lot about Dew in the past whenever we've had our discussions about the Free Fire World Series. Walk me through exactly what this guy is capable of, Husky.
First of all, you see he does a crap ton of damage, has a very high elimination ratio and assist, but also Nigma Galaxy as a team is known to be very, very popular with the M79. If you get that weapon, your day in your round is going to end. And Dew is the MVP of their regular season with a total of 101 kills. And he was also the finals MVP for their local league.
I also want to take a quick comparison between the eliminations and the damage. You can see eliminations part, it's not too different from both of these players. Damage, on the other hand, is quite different. Dew requires more damage to get the 3.4 to elimination. Ray, on the other hand, is a little bit more efficient out there on the battlefield, and that's mostly skewed towards him because of the headshots that he manages to get out there. Yes, both players are great, but it's all going to depend on who gets the lethal shot first. But let's take a look at the profile videos as well.
Sebuah perjalanan panjang bagi kita untuk akhirnya bisa berada di FFPS ini sejak 2021. Fakta bahwa kita bisa ke FFPS, menurut gue sangat pantas dengan semua usaha kami. Gue berharap kami bisa mendapatkan kejuaraan pertama untuk tim kita.
A nossa equipa, nós estamos juntos há muito tempo. Quando as pessoas falam de como as outras regiões são fortes, esquecem que nós fomos terceiro lugar da última vez.
Thật sự thì mình không quá lo lắng vì mình đã có trải nghiệm từ lần đi Singapore trước đó rồi. Chỉ cần team mình giữ vững phong độ thì có thể nói là hắc quy không ngán một ai hết.
Ipinagmamalaki ko na umabot kami dito. Gagawin namin ang lahat para magningning sa FFWS.
طريقة وحيدة حتى نظهر شكرنا للمعجبين، وهي أن نعطيهم أفضل ما لدينا. نحن مصرين على ذلك فعلا.
La última vez nuestro camino acabó en play-ins. Esta vez seguiremos peleando y acabaremos con todos.
Eu penso mais como uma vingança. Nós vamos provar que os times da Tailândia não são imbatíveis. Nem o time tailandês ganhou 2 vezes seguidas. E nós estamos aqui para que não ganhem novamente. Vamos levar esse orgulho de volta ao Brasil.
ผู้คนต่างสงสัยว่าเมื่อไหร่ยุคของทีมไทยจะสิ้นสุดลงสักที เราจะทำลายขีดจำกัดและรักษาแชมป์ที่ประเทศไทยไว้ เพราะเรานี่แหละทีมม้ามืดตัวจริง
After watching that trailer, the stage is set, my blood is pumping, the players are electrified for the final 8 rounds of this World Series. And there's so many storylines coming into this, and it's very hard to pinpoint where to start, but it's safe to say that all these fairy tales are going to build up to one big finale.
I mean, you can expect anything out there on the battlefield, but what all matters is exactly what happens as soon as they take the drop in, right? You can be the most strongest squad out there, but if Lady Luck is against you, and if 2 other teams have got the exact same idea to drop into the exact same compound as you in Bermuda, it's going to ruin your chances, regardless of who you are. Unless that is also going to be your best stage to really shine. Taking on 2 teams at the same time with a hot drop, things can turn around. But, you know, you need the magic dust from Magic Squad for something like that to happen.
We have seen a couple of teams yesterday from the play-ins that do not mind these hot drops.
They don't.
Infinity VX was one of them. Nagrar Esports will gladly hunt you down if you share the same area as them. But we also have teams in this finals that love to hot drop. For example, AB Radicals. You know, where the blue zone is where you will find them.
Correct.
And this could be a worry for AB Radicals as a team because more aggressive squads might just seek them out.
More aggressive squads might most definitely seek them out. But, you know, from what we saw yesterday, a lot of them within the Free Fire World Series try their best to avoid that blue circle because they anticipate heavy firepower there, right? AB Radicals has just been that one hard-headed squad, that one hard-headed team that just doesn't care. I mean, you want to drop by and visit us, we will take our chances. And that hasn't really gone really great for them a lot of those times. But most of the times, they kind of just luck out because the other teams just choose to not take that risk very early on. Because yes, you know you can anticipate AB Radicals there, but who else might have that weird idea to hot drop into that blue zone as well? That's something that you cannot anticipate.
They have a high record of dismantling any team that shares the same zone with them, right? We look at the players on the team. You have Ray Meow, Tools, Tanamo, and Wine. These 4 are superstars, and some of them started way back then in the first major last year. VPH Velocity, Tools and Ray Meow, well, from the same team, and the moment they show up on the battlefield, we dub them as the wonder kid of the Philippines, and right now, a year plus later, they're on that world stage. This really says a lot about these individual players.
I'll have to agree, man. Of course, they come from the exact same server that we shoutcast for a lot as well. So we know this team extensively. But we also know that AV Radicals is unfortunately riddled with a little bit of inconsistencies that usually hurts them towards the end of the run, right? We see massive league stage runs from them. Grand finals is where they bomb out. But the biggest of difference was in MCPS this time round. They broke their own record by maintaining that consistency. But the problem here is it's not a team that is hot on day one in itself. It's a team that takes not just a while, but a long while to wind up. That's my biggest concern for the Filipinos in here today.
I have to second that. I think there's something that they need to shake off, bring their best game for this 8 rounds, and maybe and perhaps they will show us a different role and do the region justice. But speaking about inconsistency, I want to kind of draw a parallel. I want to talk about a consistent team that is already in the finals. I want to talk about K from Brazil, because this team not only dominated the Brazilian league, the fact that they reached in such good form with the numbers that they have could make them a force to be reckoned with to go for that trophy. I think they might be a big threat to teams like Nigma Galaxy, or even stop Evo's Phoenix from repeating that 2-time victory.
I don't think that's going to be a question at all, Cade. They've proven themselves at Sentosa already. This is one of the most aggressive teams that you can have out of the Brazilian region as a whole. And I mean, if Magic Squad was phenomenal yesterday without doing much, Cade is the team that does a lot out there on the battlefield. So imagine how much of action you can expect out of them. But, you know, that just shows the level of competition that we've got in FFWS. One of the most aggressive teams still can't get that #1 spot. Then you know exactly what you can expect. I also want to kind of focus on Nigma Galaxy here, because we saw exactly what EVOS Phoenix was capable of yesterday. 2 games, they might have just not played those 2 matches. They dropped on in, they bombed out in the most miserable way possible, and at the end of the 2 rounds, they had, what, 9 points?
Yeah.
But where were they at the end of the day? Made it through it well.
They finished the playoffs, the play-in in second, and they got more than 100 points. That is very, very impressive, right? The only team ahead of them was Magic Squad, but that is a team that has shown us consistency since the very first round. And there's also kind of a hidden plot line that I noticed yesterday from the play-ins is between the region of Latam and Brazil. Yesterday, it was Magic Squad and Naguara Esports going head-to-head, and I think the only reason that Naguara Esports ended play-ins in 3rd place was because they have one round where they kind of fell short in the very beginning. Other than that, they have been as consistent as Magic Squad. We saw how aggressive they were. They were the ones that were constantly messing up Magic Squad's chance. Every time we look at the top 4 teams in the 6th or 7th circle, Naguara Esports and Magic Squad will always be there.
Naguara was also one of those that actually eliminated EVOS Phoenix a little prematurely. We did not expect that turnout at all. EVOS Phoenix, they had the high ground advantage. They had the pre-vision first. They knew that the players of Naguara were approaching them. And that split-second decision-making out of Naguara was so phenomenal to watch, because the moment they started getting fired at, and this was in the open grounds, the first point here was they did not waste a lot of those glue walls. 2 glue walls were popped out, mainly by the player that was spotted first. And the response time, the reaction in terms of communication, the rest of the players from Naguara, like clockwork, immediately stopped, doubled down, flanked towards the right, and annihilated EVOS Phoenix. I mean, teams like that just take my breath away, Husky.
And at the same time, Naguara Esports is also one of the loudest teams in this arena. You could hear their calls every single time during a skirmish. I might not understand what they're saying, but those were definitely fighting words. And Naguara Esports always pops off, even when they get a free kill at the very start of the round. That's what makes them so special. But there are some teams that we haven't touched much on, and I think it's the apt moment to talk about them. I want to talk about HQ Esports from Vietnam. This is the first seed from the region and the only representative from Vietnam. And this is a very by-the-book team. Think about LGDS, but from Vietnam instead. Very methodical, very macro-intensive. Yesterday, macro-intensive playstyles didn't really work out. And this raises a question for me. How will HQ Esports fare in this final?
Quite a mechanically skilled squad. They are very sound in terms of their strategy making. And one of their best qualities is how they rush on in for some of these battles, right? Tyson especially, he is a star player for the squad, always manages to deliver. But, I'm just worried a tad bit for their inconsistencies. FFWS 2021, though, they did manage to get that 5th spot. So this is the kind of team that really knows how to get the job done when it truly matters. And they've got that experience from the world stage of the past already. They know what to expect. And obviously, they haven't been sitting on resting on their laurels for the past year. They would have been strategizing how to get back on this stage and smash the rest and grab the championship for themselves. So I think it's surely a team we need to watch out for.
Yeah, this team has superstars. I think Tyson, like you mentioned, is definitely kind of the one that attracts all the eyeball.
Correct, yeah.
But they also have another player, Neo, which I think contributes a lot to the squad. What's scary is that if you look at the star players of every single team and you look at their performance, the numbers from their local finals, Neo actually averages below a lot of these players. And if they're putting a lot of those eggs onto Tyson's basket, it might be an attack point for the other squads to kind of go after HQ Esports and say, you know what, if Tyson is down, HQ Esports gets crippled.
Yeah, and that's something that I have to agree with. But overall, when you take a quick comparison in terms of the stats of HQ versus any one of the other teams, for example, like Cade or Vastamundo, these are titans of the competition right now, right? Titans within the top 12 in itself. They don't fare up well at all. On paper, HQ looks like they're going to be eaten up alive out there on the battlefield. And this is just purely comparing those numbers. So it's going to have to be a strategic-based approach for HQ no matter what, because if they just want to go in there guns blazing, I don't think this competition is going to fare well for them by the end of the day.
And I honestly think that there are too much cooks in the kitchen for aggressive plays. We have more than half the teams in this final are regarded as very aggressive teams, very high octane. They like to run at you and take you out. And we've seen some good examples yesterday. Again, Naguara Esports being one of them. Magic Squad also show a bit of their prowess, even though
RRQ
Kazu as well, but that's more up in the air, right? Because RRQ Kazu, out of 8 rounds, there are 3 rounds where it felt like they were prepping so much for the late game that they never really truly made it to the late game in one piece. We've seen incidents where they revived their members and those members parachuted into a firing range and they end up getting eliminated again. So I would put RRQ Kazu on the sideline just if we talk about raw aggression, because RRQ Kazu is a late game centric team and this team requires a lot of time to get there.
Yeah, and of course they do plan for the late game. Everybody wants to get to that final circle, but RRQ Kazu is also one of those teams that's not afraid to take a gunfight before getting there, right? Push comes to shove, you know they are tagging you up first. That could have been also the reason why they struggled just a tad little bit. We're going to take a quick zoom in now to see exactly what the game faces look like out there on the battlefield and on this LAN stage event in itself. HQ Esports sits down up at the very top, Alpha as well. And some of you guys might be wondering, wait a minute, can't they just take a peek down? No, the tables are built quite sturdily, quite well. You can barely look down.
Yeah, I mean, you would have the time. Would you have the time? No, you would be focusing on the game at hand. But of course, for 4 regions in particular, this is extremely huge for them. AV Radicals on our screen right now, the representative of MCPS. Also, just like Expand, this is their first debut on the international stage as a region, as a team. So you can kind of feel that pressure, but they look ready as ever. But back to the 4 important regions, we have Brazil with 2 teams in the finals, we have Latin with 2 teams, we have Indonesia with 2 teams, and last but not least, we also have Thailand with Nigma Galaxy, the Rising Stars, and Evo's Phoenix coming back for the potential 2nd championship title.
Dude, I really don't know what to expect here, man. I mean, you've got the Thai team that is just showing us on paper that we should be expecting a lot out there on the battlefield today, right? And I'm mainly talking about Nigma Galaxy. The sheer force of supremacy that they showed us within their own regional qualifier should kind of give you a preview of what to expect later on out there on the battlefield.